disbursement of the widely anticipated grant. We will consider factors about the meeting that was held in Abuja a few hours ago. We will again consider the propaganda circulating around the Pioneer, the CBN, the IMF, and other unpopular grants in the grant ecosystem. Then we will consider the harmonized disbursement template that is finally adopted for disbursement of these grants in the days ahead. And finally, we will look around the ongoing factor of the Singaporeans being deployed to disburse grants to Nigerians. Let's quickly start with the last concept of this session, which is the deployment of Singaporeans ICT to oversee or effect disbursement to Nigerians. Now look at the information critically. Singaporeans are deployed to install softwares that will ensure that disbursement take place effectively. There is a circulating VN from one of the grant promoters that network is restricting disbursement from flowing freely. And a very rational thinker will imagine why Nigeria as a country don't have ICT specialists. The last time I checked, I discovered that most of the people hacking sites and institutions in the world right now are Nigerians. And in the entire 36 states, we don't have ICT experts that will develop softwares to ensure there is hitch-free disbursement to the extent of hiring one from the Singapore. Or which software, which network is the current CBN or the banks in Nigeria, the Nigerian banking system, are using to disburse funds? How many are the beneficiaries of this grant? How many is the Nigerian civil service workforce? Then which software is the banking system using to pay federal government workers and state government workers? Is that one no more functional that warrants us deploying ICT experts from Singapore to disburse grants to the masses? There are some information Nigerians should critically look at instead of sheepishly accepting or adopting them and believing or holding on to heart. The entire aim of all these lies, you should know, is about cajoling people into again subscribing for grants. If you check at the end of all this information, these lies, there comes a call for subscription. Some of the platforms are actually calling people to pay 20,000 and receive 150 million. That is just a major aim of the lies. It wasn't actually about the Singaporeans being in Nigeria to disburse funds. It was to use the lies to cajole people into paying 20,000 naira to receive 150 million. And this again has signaled this is all a lie. Nigerians, the grant subscribers, should learn to identify lies from truth. Pay such money at your own peril. There's no such thing like pay 20,000 to receive 150 million. In which country will such take place? In this country we are sitting. And weeks ago, this same gang pronounced that subscription for all grants has ended. Why are they calling for funds right now? What is it for? These are all questions we should ask ourselves before you waste your hardly gotten money again. There's no such thing. Don't waste your money. And that again leads us to the propaganda around the CBN, the Pioneer, and the IMF slots. Let's face it, few weeks ago, some stakeholders in the grant ecosystem openly declared that the CBN, the Pioneer, IMF are all fake. And there's one reason to this. For those that called and chatted to find out if those information is true, actually, Barrister Ogra earlier pronounced it fake, followed by Chief Agogun. And some people think these people don't know what they're saying. There is always element of truth in every room or in every statement made by people with strong social standing. The CBN and the Pioneer slots were created by grant stakeholders to mobilize funds. Yes, we know that in the grant ecosystem, grant is free per se, but the process of accessing grant is not free. Along the process where the stakeholders are mobilizing the resources to access the grant, when I mean mobilizing resources, People are residing in the FCT and traveling within the city of FCT to Lagos State and back to FCT, meeting some people in offices, registering some documents, and moving on to effect some level of profiling, which involve utilization of funds. These people are called the stakeholders of grants in the country or in the ecosystem. Along this process, if the stakeholders don't have funds within themselves, sometimes they reach out to the NGO CEOs, who sometimes reach out to the beneficiaries or fellow NGOs to mobilize this fund for these stakeholders to facilitate the process of disbursement. Along this process, some of these stakeholders coin different names and extend it to certain audience of people to subscribe. But the truth is, those people that are actually marketing these lots, that are holding the mandate of marketing these lots, are not leaving it open to the public, are not marketing it on the platforms to the awareness of the general masses. It's secretive. So when you see certain individuals creating platforms and mobilizing this fund, the fund generated by these promoters are not limited to the stakeholders, because they don't even know the stakeholders of such activity in the first place. They simply hijack the process and mobilize the funds to their own pockets. That is why at the time I appeared on the same channel and called people to suspend all activities towards subscribing for the CBN, the Pioneer, or the IMF slot, because it has been hijacked by fraudsters. Therefore, if you subscribe for the CBN, the Pioneer, IMF, World Bank, or any name, without those people actually being connected to the stakeholders facilitating disbursement, then you have just wasted your money. However, if the promoters that you pay your money to are actually connected to the stakeholders facilitating disbursement, then you have nothing to worry. Therefore, I'm saying in essence that most of the people promoting the CBN, the Pioneer, IMF, or World Bank slot are scammers or fraudsters. Now, let's look critically at the meeting that takes place in Abuja a few hours ago between the grant stakeholders and government authorities. What was the meeting all about? Strictly, it was harmonization of purpose, harmonization of expectation, harmonization of templates of disbursement. Normally, there are several grant handlers that profile their organizations to receive this fund. But the truth is, only one source will dispense or disburse the fund to the grant handlers. That means your own grant handler will be receiving funds from only this one same source or authority. And whosoever is telling you it is their own source that is disbursing the money may be lying to you. Yes, I've seen a post circulating from one of the Theobald grant promoters that Theobald is the one to disburse to Mama Supreme, AGPGN, UAAG, EPIC, St. Rita. The same Theobald grant that was arrested by the EFCC and charged of criminally extorting the masses. So the federal government will eventually hand over trillions of funds to him to disburse to the masses, as if Nigeria is a banana republic, or we don't have NGO with upright reputation to dispense funds to masses. If Theobald is to disburse the fund, what is the guarantee that Nigerians will even receive such a fund? So that antecedent is enough not to allow Theobald to go near where disbursement will take place. But if he is considered to disburse the fund, nobody is against that. We are not against the progress or growth of fellow Nigerians. But let some people not come to the masses to promote their own organizations, to promote some certain names, just to cajole the masses in subscribing for grants, because at the end of that promotion, at the end of that lies, they still call on people to pay for beneficiary slots, 500 naira, 1,000, 5,000. They call on people to pay 20,000. So they have an aim of claiming to hold the mandate of disbursement, not actually as if they are the one to dispense it. So the truth is, nobody is aware of the Apex NGO that will dispense this fund to the masses. Beware of this. So the meeting harmonized the policies that will bring about seamlessly free disbursement. That implies factors like the entitlement of beneficiaries and entitlement of NGO has been finally concluded. Any grant handler that is being given the authority to disburse must adopt these templates as it suits Nigerian financial or CBN regulatory policies on economic state. Yes, I've seen some posts trending that UAAG is going to dispense 1 million naira per beneficiaries. And I've equally seen another post that is claiming the NGO CEOs is entitled to 20 million naira. These are all speculations, but it's never part of those agreements that was agreed or reached on that meeting. A certain amount is there. Our next update will reveal the specific final formula or template that is meant for the beneficiaries and NGO CEOs. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe immediately. Hence, when we publish this template, you will be immediately notified. Meanwhile, other factors that were considered there was a pact that no grant handler should underpay the NGO CEOs or the beneficiaries. The documents were presented to them to sign this pact and ensure they will live up to it. So in the ensuing days, this pact will equally be revealed or communicated to the masses, either as a national broadcast or a MOU to the awareness of all grant subscribers, the NGO CEOs and the beneficiaries. Finally, this one goes to all grant subscribers that are going hypertensive because of the circulating information in the social media. And I'm informing you here that 99.9% of those information circulating are all false and lies, either aimed at maintaining the grant subscribers until disbursement happens or aimed at cajoling you into subscribing for more grants under fraudulent intents. So don't take those information serious. Disbursement is already planned to happen in ensuing days and weeks ahead. And everyone should know that even if fund drops into the account of the grant handlers today or tomorrow, disbursement cannot take place on the same day. So fund will first drop from the Apex NGO account to those approved grant handlers that will dispense the fund to the NGOs. Then the NGOs will then dispense to the beneficiaries. So the question of who is going to receive the fund tomorrow or on Monday next week, if the fund drop from the Apex NGO account, depends on who you are in the grant ecosystem. If you fall under the category of the stakeholders, the grant handlers, the NGO CEOs or beneficiaries. So if you are in the lower border of the pyramid, the beneficiaries, you don't expect to receive a lot of disbursement 2 or 3 days when the fund has already been dispensed to your grant handler's account. Therefore, one thing is certain: disbursement is going to happen. Disbursement is taking place this month in the shortest time possible. The major people that will come and give you the tangible updates of disbursement aren't talking right now. They are busy undergoing the administrative protocols or process that will usher in disbursement. So wait patiently for this broadcast or update from the grant handler that has been approved for disbursement. Some people will ask if UAAG, NGPGM, Gilbert, Senrita, Supreme are going to disburse. I'm revealing to you that if you subscribe for grants, you will receive disbursement directly or indirectly. A lot of shoveling, a lot of reformation has already taken place. Not who you expect to disburse the fund will disburse the fund. The government decided to do this to ensure he checkmates the integrity of the process. Not every grant handler that presented themselves to disburse fund to the masses have genuine intent of disbursing the fund. Some of them don't even have the required documents that will ensure them disbursing the fund. So those that possess the requirements has already been approved to disburse the fund. And that explains the reason why I'm revealing to you that the last meeting that took place with the government authority finally singled out those arrowheads, those authorities or Apex NGOs that will disburse the fund. The one thing is sure: you will receive alert directly or indirectly. This is how far